Per the request of UniXTBS, as you can see, he seems very thrilled. Sharing my set 2 Zamasu Gogeta deck. This is an updated version of the deck. Made some new modifications. So 1 copy of the leader, 4 Gogeta Godspeed Demolisher, 4 Gogeta Effortless Strike, 4 Almighty Duo Rosetto, 4 Gohan Universe 7 United, 4 Oceanus Shinron, 4 SS Vegeta Thwarting the Enemy, 4 Vegeta Energy Fortification, 4 Goku the Hellish Throwdown, Goku, 4 copies of Goku Hellish Throwdown, for 4 copies of Goku and Vegeta Saiyan Synergy, 4 Chill's Army Reinforcement, 4 All Too Easy, 4 Majin Buu, Salt of the Agent of Destruction Unison, 4 Gotenks Absolute Unison, 4 Super Saiyan 4 Goku Protects the Earth Unison, and 1 Miraculous Fighter SS3 Gogeta. So this is just another con in the deck, especially with the way this deck is, the way this deck functions, mainly because of the leader's awakening ability, where you're milling cards instead of taking damage. Being able to get multiple, Vegetas and Gokus. As you notice, they're all 1-drops because they have synergy with this 5-drop Gogeta. But the fact that they're Gokus and Vegetas, they have synergy with this Miraculous Fighter Gogeta. Also, he has the Union Fusion ability, where you need a Goku and a Vegeta, and they have to have the same power in order for you to drop them from your hand to drop, in order to, pay 6 in order to play this. So you could play this for 6 energy. So this could be a turn 6 play, just by dropping 8 Goku and a Vegeta, and they all have 4K power. So it wouldn't be that hard to meet the requirements for that. So there's potential for that, but you could play this for 8. This also has the EX Evolve ability, where you can play it on top of a 7 or higher cost Gogeta that's blue, by discarding your whole entire hand except for this card. So you pitch your hand and drop this on top of your 8-drop Gogeta. And at the right condition, when your opponent has 3 or more energy, and you have a Goku and a Vegeta 1-drop in your drop area, you can pay 1 to energy in order to bottom deck them, which obviously synergizes with the leader, and play this for just 1 energy. And then for 2 energy, you can EX Evolve this 8-drop Gogeta on top of the 5-drop. And like I said, for free, or by discarding your entire hand except for this card, you could play this on top of your 8-drop. And the benefit of all these Gokus and Vegetas, which is why I wanted to add more Gokus and Vegetas, mainly so I can utilize this ultimate, is the fact that it has the active main Sparking 15. So you need 15 cards in your drop. You choose 1 Goku and 1 Vegeta card from the drop area and place it at the bottom of your deck, and then switch this card to active mode. So this has the potential to, obviously restand. It's a 40k crit, so that means every time it hits, your opponent won't plus from it, which is always useful. Especially if you do get an extra attack, you don't want them to have some combo power or negates or something of that nature getting in the way from their life. So definitely want to take advantage of that. There's just some further synergy. This also has deflect, so that's important, so you can avoid counterplays. This Gogeta has double strike and dual attack, does not have deflect, so keep that in mind. Has the first auto once per turn. If your leader card is mono blue, which it is, when this card is played or your opponent activates a battle card skill, choose up to 2 of their battle cards and bounce them to the hand. Obviously, this is really useful on your opponent's turn, especially if they have a battle card that has an auto when it attacks. You can take advantage of this effect. So it's like a free counter response, whatever you want to look at it. So having this in play, and even having this unison in play with its auto, gives you the ability to react to your opponent's battle cards on their turn. So there's good synergy in that. Also, just being able to use this after you like Oceanus or something. Especially, remember, this only costs 2 to play. This costs 1 to play, so that's just 3 energy alone. So if you just so happen to have 5 energy, right, play these 2 for 3, and you still have 2 energy for an Oceanus, so you could drop the Oceanus and then have the Oceanus effect active, right, plus it's a blocker. And then this will help you bounce battle cards from your opponent's side of field to the hands, which comes in handy if their battle cards attack more than once. So there's some defensive capabilities of this card. This, of course, like I said, has dual attacks, so it can attack more than once. And then it has the second auto, which is a very important one, especially if you're trying to go for game, right? Second auto is that if your leader card is mono blue, which it is, and you have 6 or less cards in your hand, which is not impossible, right? At the end of your opponent's turn, your opponent chooses 3 cards from the hands and then bottom decks the rest of the cards in any order. So this is a lot like the Gogeta 7 in a way, but it only triggers at the end of your opponent's turn. Now something you can do is, since it has dual attack with it, right? Take advantage of the fact that it's a 30k double strike. Hopefully get your opponent down to 2 life at least, or 4. You can work with 4. You could take your opponent from 4 to 0, especially if they only have 3 cards in hand. So you could play this, right, just so it could be on the field. Like I said, swing with it, right? Try to take advantage of this double strike, or you can swing it at unison, right? Because it has double strike. Knock off a couple markers off for unison, restand it, and then leave it in active mode. That would be harder to, get it off the board through an attack. If it had buried, this thing would be busted, right? But it doesn't, so it is vulnerable to removal. But it's going to be harder. It's an 8-drop, so Charismatic and Frieza doesn't mess with it. Heroes Lineage and cards of that nature don't mess with it. Cards that that hit anything 7 or less, won't touch this. So keep that in mind. So that's a good thing, right? Ironically, if this does end up leaving the field, this 5-drop can be played for free in response to that. So that way you can at least have, and it's a blocker, so it's a 15k blocker. Has unique, so you can only have 1 in play. But of course, you typically will evolve up to the 8-drop, so that way you could play a second copy of this, and then evolve to another 8-drop and have 2 8-drops, right? So the potential is there, especially if you do manage this card's auto to reduce your opponent's hand size down to 3, so that way when it's your turn, you can just drop this bad boy for 1, evolve for 2, and then have 2 30k double strikers swinging at your opponent. The fact that when you play the 8-drop, you can bounce 2 battle cards to your opponent's hands can help you deal with any potential blockers. But of course, make sure you only use that effect if the blockers or the battle cards are in like active mode per se. Because if the battle card's in rest mode, you might not want to bounce into your opponent's hand, because then they'll just be combo power, right? Unless they're like 10k combo power, which requires an energy, then it's fine to bounce them back to your opponent's hand. It's up to you. You make the decisions while you play, but you get the idea. So the fact that we can get a pretty big boss monster out there for relatively cheap. I mean, for a total commitment of essentially 3 energy and just putting back battle cards from your drop back into the deck, has its benefits, obviously. It wouldn't be that hard to get them to the drop, especially if you combo them off. They are 5k combo power. Most of them are counterattacks, mainly the ones that have Vegeta in it. So Vegetas are counterattack. I'm waiting for a 1-drop counterattack Goku. Couldn't find any, so had to go for the blocker. But we do have this one, which does have Goku on it, which is counterattack. So the idea is make sure they're counterattacks, right? We got Zeno for board wiping. We got this Gohan Universe 7 United that has the effect that when you play this card, choose up to 1 blue battle card of energy cost 3 or higher and add it to hand. So this can help you get, any of your, your Almighty Zenos, any of your Gogetas, for whichever one you need in order to, go up the chain, right? And then, of course, the main reason we have it is to help us grab our Miraculous Fighter SS3 Gogeta from our drop So, you know, we can obviously play him, swing with him, use his active main to get our put our Gokus and Vegetas back in our decks. So one, it helps us avoid decking out from our own effect, as well as, you know, we get those extra attacks so we can apply pressure on our opponent. And this, you know, does have the flex, so that's an important thing. So this is why he's there for. He's there to synergize with our unison. I mean, with our ultimates. Technically, he's the ultimate searcher. And then we have Oceana's, you know, Floodgate. She does what she does, obviously. Vegeta, his counterattack, limit 1. Your leader card is blue, which it is. And again, attack and then play this card in rest mode. You get the rest. But the main thing for it, other than being Vegeta at a 1-drop, 4K power and whatnot, is the fact that you can play this for free if you Spirit Boost 2 from your Unison. So we got a couple Unisons, obviously, that we can remove 2 markers for in order to synergize with this. So this is just really good. You know, obviously synergy. Chill's Army, relatively the same thing. You know, take a life and play this for free to negate an attack, and it makes a token that's a blocker, so we can potentially stop 2 attacks. So having some free negates is always good. This Vegeta, just because he's a counterattack, negate an attack, play him, right? And he's a Vegeta 4K, so he fits the theme of the deck. This Goku is a blocker, good enough. You know, you can block an attack, obviously. So that's mainly what he's there for. He's a Goku and he's a blocker. Goku and Vegeta same time, negate an attack, play this card in rest mode. As the auto that if your opponent attacks your leader, you can put this at the bottom of your deck with its auto and give your leader 5k power until the rest of the turn. So kind of like a Floodgate, you know, type of effect, sends a beam type of ability, or power people, whichever way you want to look at it. And the fact that bottom decks obviously has synergy with this leader. All too easy. It's in the gate. Bounce 1, drop back to your opponent's hand, and it can be played from your drops, especially the way this deck works. This would be in your drop, so you'll pay 1 energy to play it, right? You pay the cost of the card, warp a blue card from your hand on top of playing this card, and then you pay from your drop. So it's always good. Majin Buu, you know, it's a blocker, double strike, 20k. Using this unison will kind of give a Soul Striker-like effect, because you'll draw a card and then untap an energy at the end of your during your opponent's main phase, and switch this back to active. And since it is a blocker, you can take advantage of using it to block, right? And then it has a -1 ability where it can let you bottom deck one of your opponent's battle cards to the bottom of the deck when your opponent attacks with a battle card. So really good. So essentially, this is the main draw engine of the deck, as well as it, like I said, untaps an energy, so it kind of acts like it kind of turns my lead into a Soul Striker, so to speak. Pseudo Soul Striker. So I always have at least 1 energy, and that's where all the 1 energy negate battle cards come into play, with synergy with that. Then we got a Gotenks. It's a dual attack. Obviously, we can take advantage of that, especially against decks like Hatchiak. We can use this to obviously knock off a couple markers off the Unisons and things of that nature. The fact that we can attack and block, you know, Sword and Shield strategy. Has the -2 ability, so we can draw 2 cards, good against hand control, or just good to have card advantage, right? But with this leader, be cautious about drawing a lot of cards that could be to your detriment. So be cautious. -3 ability. One of the main reasons why it's in the deck is the fact that it lets you ignore and barrier, choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards and bottom deck them. So it's very useful for getting rid of any really, really problematic battle cards. Especially anything that can do 2 damage plus is always good to get rid of. Goku for his auto, so it's our Floodgate. Makes it where our opponent has to bottom deck a 2-cost or higher battle card on their side field in order to attack with a battle card. So obviously we would like to combine this with, you know, this Vegeta or the Chill's Army Reinforcement, you know, to be able to stop leader and unison swings, since those things can still attack. and then put our opponent in a position where they probably can't attack with battle cards because they have to give up battle cards. Hopefully that's the case, right? So we can always get to that extra turn we're trying to get to. And then has the -2 ability where we choose all our opponent's battle cards, ignore and bury and bounce onto our opponent's hand. Good way of getting rid of any battle cards, blockers and stuff like that. Especially if they have barrier, it's a good way of getting rid of anything that has barrier. And then we can always drop this 8-drop and get rid of stuff that doesn't have barrier as an option. This Zeno is already good for getting rid of anything that doesn't have barrier. Right, clears the board by, of anything that doesn't have barrier. But for stuff that doesn't have barrier, this is our go-to. And it does have the -1 ability where we draw 2 cards and bottom deck a card. So it can be a draw engine. Then we, of course, we already mentioned Miraculous Fighter. That's a free Gogeta, which is our ultimate. This brings our deck down to 57 card deck instead of 60 card deck. So that can make a difference. But the fact that this deck does recycle cards, that's part of the strategy of recycling. So our 1-drops, that makes up for the low card count. And that's the end of the video.